In this video, I'll guide you through how to connect your GoDaddy domain to GitHub Pages so your site can be accessed through a clean custom web address instead of the default GitHub URL. Before we start, make sure you already own a domain on GoDaddy and that you're able to log into your GoDaddy account. You should also have a GitHub Pages site set up, either from a repository or a project page. In this walkthrough, we're focusing specifically on the DNS setup in GoDaddy that points your domain to GitHub Pages. First, sign in to your GoDaddy account in your browser. Once you're logged in, go to your domain portfolio. This is usually found under My Products or Domains, depending on how your dashboard looks. Find the domain you want to connect to GitHub Pages. Be sure you pick the exact domain you intend to use, especially if you have several, because the DNS changes will affect where that domain points. Next, locate the DNS settings for that domain. On the same row as your domain, look for an option labeled DNS, DNS Management, or something very similar. Click that to open the DNS management page. This is where you control all the records that determine how your domain behaves on the internet. On the DNS management page, you'll see a list of records like CNAME, TXT, and possibly others. For GitHub Pages, we're going to add 4 records for your Apex domain, which is the root version of your domain without any subdomain. For example, this would be yourdomain.com rather than www.yourdomain.com. Now, we'll start adding the A records. Look for a button or link that says Add to create a new DNS record. When the form appears, set the type to A. For the name, enter the @ symbol, @ In DNS settings, the @ symbol represents your root domain. Leave the TTL or time to live at the default value, such as 1 hour. TTL just controls how long other servers cache this information, and the default setting is perfectly fine for most situations. For the first A record in the value or points to field, enter 185.1999108.153. Double check the number to avoid typos, then save that record. Repeat this process 3 more times. Click Add again, choose type A, set the name to @, leave the TTL at its default, and then enter the second IP address 185.199.109.113. Save that record. Add a third A record the same way, again with the name set to @ and the default TTL. This time use the IP address 185.199.110.143 and then save. Finally, add the fourth A record, set the type to A, name to @, keep the default TTL, and enter the IP address 185.199.113. Save this record as well. You should now have 4 A records in your GoDaddy DNS settings, all with the name set to @ and each one pointing to a different GitHub Pages IP address. These records tell the internet that when someone types your root domain into their browser, it should load your site from GitHub Pages. Keep in mind that DNS changes are not instant. It can take anywhere from a few minutes to a couple of hours, and sometimes up to a day, for these changes to fully propagate across the internet. After giving it some time, visit your domain in a browser to make sure it's correctly loading your GitHub Pages site. That's all you need to do in GoDaddy to connect your domain's Apex to GitHub Pages using A records.